All right, hello. How's everybody doing? So we'll start off with I'm gonna try to fix a build for somebody on the official. So we'll do that first. Let's get noise canceling on. All right, close out Tarkov as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this build. I got to download it first. But person having a problem with their build says, it's engine shutting down after a little bit of while. There's some vacuuming in the engine. So we can take a look at this, a couple to look at here. So we'll go ahead and I'll grab these two vehicles. We can look at them. So one of my issues with fixing some of these builds is that if the microcontroller is not made by the person who made it, it's like a third-party workshop. It's using one of the popular microcontrollers. It's hard to ask the person questions because they didn't build it, so they don't know how to answer the questions, which makes sense. That can be problematic. Plus, like, I have to fight the urge to go through a build 28 times and change how a microcontroller works. Like, I've done these before where I've tried to help out people with, like, Jersey microcontrollers, and I end up having to rebuild the microcontroller. Spend, like, 40 minutes figuring it out. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to find if this is a physical problem. How's it going there, Turtle Unit? So this is Turtle Unit. This is build. I'm just going to quickly look back at official. All right. So having a vacuum issue, and after how much time did you say your truck will stop running? We say like 10 minutes. All right, so we'll take a couple looks. First thing I always try to do is look for physical problems. We all make little mistakes sometimes where like we forget to make a connection, and that is usually the easiest thing to hunt out. I do it myself where I either do a physical connection problem or I forget to hook something up that is logic-based. So that tends to be the first thing before jumping on a microcontroller, because you could look at a microcontroller and it could be working fine, and then you end up changing it or pulling things that still aren't working because the connection itself is wrong. So first thing, I'm just kind of looking around generally, but we'll find that fluid port here. Right here's the fluid port. All right, so we'll path this out here. So fluid port going down here, it splits likely into tanks. What is this? That looks like a hard tank right there. All right, so that's the hard tank right there. Let's check it. Diesel 100%. Diesel 100%. All right, so that is that. We have tank. Wow, that's a lot of fuel. All right, we have many a tank. Tank. All right. Let's see, where's the end of this tank here? Let's go and look. All right, right there. Okay, I don't see any venting yet. Let's see if we can find some venting on this tank here. All right, so that goes into that. That is then plumb there. Okay, so there's your hose anchor right going into this tank here. You have this other set over here. All right, that is not ventilated there. Let's see if it's ventilated in the front. I don't see ventilation yet. Okay, let's see. So that right there is the fluid port. The fluid manifold. I don't see any ventilation yet. So where's the ventilation? All right, so there. We have no ventilation. I don't see any ventilation. No ventilation. Is there ventilation here? I don't see any ventilation there, Turtle Unit. There's, like, literally no ventilation on this hose here. So let's get a running example going here. Let's do this. Let's give it a neighbor. All right, it's got a neighbor now. All right, so this is the base unit here. So this is the control. So the control is your unit that is stock without any change. I do not see ventilation. Let's look, see if I can find ventilation here. So this is the end of your fuel loop with no ventilation on it. All right, so we'll walk through the entire fuel system here. So here's the end of fuel tank, the port fuel tank. It's made it into the next fuel tank, made it in the next fuel tank, made it into the next fuel tank. It then comes here. We'll double check. Yep, that's where it goes. Goes into a pipe, goes into T-valve, goes up to the fuel manifold, comes down, elbowed in right to the tank, directly connected to the tank right here. That tank there goes into the next tank, the next tank, the next tank, the next tank. Then it is going into an elbow out. So there is no ventilation right now. So that looks to be the issue. Let's put a vent on there and see if that will fix it, because you need to ventilate your tanks. So what we'll do is we'll ventilate. Is this engine bay open? You need to make sure there's an opening, too. If you're going to ventilate externally. Let me quickly check something. I can't recall if this will ventilate through the suspension. I don't know if it does ventilate through the suspension. Let's see if that is opened. It probably is. This has a hood, so it should ventilate. So I put a dial in there like a dickhead. Let's go ahead and put a liquid meter in there. Liquid meter. So I'm going to do it on the control first. Let's just stick one in here. I just want to make sure this is not sealed in here, because if I'm going to ventilate into this area here, I need this to not be sealed. So there's the liquid meter, dial. All right, let's plumb that real quick here. All right, let's double check that real quick, make sure that is able to... All right, so that is 0. That is good. We want it 0. That means that it is not sealed. So that is good. So we can ventilate directly into the hood compartment. There is no fuel vents on this, so what we're going to do is come over here. Doesn't matter where we put this. We'll just stick it here. I'll put my corrections in pink. All right, gas relief valve. It just works to keep fuel from going there. That's really all it's doing, is it's only letting the gas come out, and it's going to maintain atmospheric pressure between outside and inside. Now, the fluid port will do that too, but it will leak gas. This will prevent it from leaking diesel. Should not say gas, diesel. All right, let's go see if we can get them cranked. So this one here is the control. This is the one that was from the link. All right, let's see. Key, I assume. All right, now, all right, we're currently in 0. I'm just going to rev up as though we were driving. I assume WS is your throttle. Do you have a, I can hear it. It's coming up. All right, let's see. So let's look at the time. I got 21:09 my time. All right, so the engine is revved up. There's no tack in here that I can see. So I can't see the tack. Do you have a hood that I can open? Let me see. Let me see. Do you have a hood that I can open? Yeah, well, that was the first thing I thought I said to you, is you need to ventilate your tank, asking if you ventilated your tank. How's it going there? Echo, how are you? Okay. Next to the steering wheel and left. Copy that. Thanks. All right, I'm just going to open the hood so I can check the RPS real quick. Quick and easy here. Let's see. All right, that looks good. All right, so this one's revving up. I'm just going to match this so this one's revving at the same rate. So this one's ventilated tanks. If we go back into the updates, the devs have warned us that we're going to have to ventilate their tanks. The YouTube link that I sent you, Turtle, it is a tutorial on ventilating your tanks. It shows how you have to ventilate your tanks IRL, and we have to do it in-game. It makes perfect sense. You know, as you're pulling the liquid out, it will crush the tank. And so you need to replace the liquid you're pulling out of the tank with something. And the something that is easiest to do is air from the environment. The problem is the pump can only pull so much. Eventually, you start pulling a partial vacuum, and the pump cannot overcome the vacuum. The way you fix that is by ventilating your tank. That is going to allow air to go into that fluid port, into the pipes, and go into your tanks. And so as your fuel level reduces, it is replaced with air. And it's the same reason if you turn a water bottle upside down, it will glug, because it will not let out any water until it's replaced by air, because the air pressure outside is keeping the water in the bottle. And so if you could set up a perfect water bottle that didn't have any imperfections, you would put that water bottle upside down, and the air pressure would keep the water in the bottle. And then if you poke a hole in the top of the water bottle, then the water can come out, because the air can come in from the top and equalize the pressure. So grab paint real quick, do a quick diagram on this. So I gotta wait for these to just run up anyway, so might as well do a little diagram here. All right, so if we go ahead and we take ourselves a... So we have a bottle, right? This, let's say, yeah, let's just say it's a bottle full of water. There's a bottle full of water, right? And so what we're going to do here is you have air all out in this volume outside. And so let's go ahead and we'll do solid color. We'll go down to 5%, and then we'll make it that. I need a vacuum. I should be able to grab vacuum off of this. So that's that. All right. So we have these two here. This is going to go. All right. So this is what the world looks like. So outside you have a bunch of air molecules. They're air. They're spaced far apart. Then you go into water. Water is very close together. Let's say 90%. Oh, stop it. Let's go like that. All right. Then let's put in here. We want to do water. So water will make it darker. It's at now, we'll put it up to 90%. That's water. All right, so the molecules are all these little blue molecules. The water is very close together. And so water is actually it's completely close together. There is no gaps. But for this example, we'll do that. So what's going to happen here is the air molecules have a pressure, and they're going to push, and they're going to keep this water in there, right? So you have the water gets pushed in there, like so, and so the air is pushing on the water the entire time because the air has a pressure, and so it causes the water to stay in there. So if you were to cut a hole in the top of your bottle here, now they're equal. So whatever this number is, so at sea level it's 1 atmosphere of air pressure. That's 1 atmosphere of air pressure is pushing on the water, and so the water can't come out. But as soon as you pierce a hole in there, you now have 1 atmosphere of air pressure trying to push through this hole. All right, and now because the hole's so small, it can't get through at the same rate. But if we were to make the hole exactly the same size as the hole in the bottom, the air pressure would be 1 atmosphere pushing down and 1 atmosphere pushing up, and that would equalize these. So the air pressure pushing down and the air pressure pushing up are now equal, right? And so because they're equal, the water's gravity is going to take over. The actual mass of the water, which is, you know, the weight of the water, mass times gravity, is going to cause the water to come out. And so you need to have some sort of ventilation. And the problem, and that's what's essentially happening with a vacuum in your tanks, is the pressure, it can't crush the container to get the liquid out. So if you're pulling a vacuum, it won't work. You need to have some sort of ventilation. I talked about this in my tutorial that I sent you. All right, the engine's dying. Let's go back. Engine's dying. Let's check it. Let's see which one. Should be this one, I would say. It's actually the other one. That's interesting. Look at this one. Let me check the fuel. We're not out of fuel. Let's see what's up. All right. But you do need to ventilate your tanks. Let me check. Again, I don't want to go into the microcontroller too far because I have to dissect somebody else's microcontroller. So let's check all the values here. This one's running. Okay, this one's not running either. This one's already toast. If you look, see the AFR is going to 0. Stoichiometry is toast. Exhaust is nothing. Starter is true in this one. There we go. All right, let's check this one. I can't tell the difference between the sound. All right, so this one's going 2. Let's see what's up. So again, I hope it's not the microcontroller because I have to rip apart the microcontroller to figure it out. But you do need to ventilate your tank 100%. We've been over that. That's what's going to happen. So make sure you put that in first of all. Let's go ahead and take Modular Engine Tutorial Series. Let's put my microcontroller on this and see what's up. I want to get working on my plane, so I'm not going to work on this for too long, but we should be able to get this up and running. Right here. This is my Modular Engine Tutorial Series. All right, so now with ventilated tanks and they're both stalling out, it could be a microcontroller issue. So let's go ahead and cut that. All right, so kind of process of elimination. We check one thing. If it doesn't fix it, we move on to the next. Do one thing at a time. Keep your control going. All right, so okay, that's why it's pink. All right, let's see. So let's check your exhaust really quick too. Let's do that before I unplug your microcontroller here because that would be easier. So the other thing this possibly could be is your exhaust. So what we want to do is look at your exhaust. The other thing that can happen is if your exhaust is not connected correctly, what will happen is you will clog up your exhaust. All right, so here's your exhaust going up and around. First thing we check is the cap. Make sure the cat's going the right way. Exhaust out. This should be exhaust in. So this is likely your problem right here. So that is the next thing to check. Fuel's first, exhaust is next. So let's go into this. So right here, See your manifold? Your manifold is exhaust out. These are one direction, all right? So if you flip this over, all right, so likely what was happening is your exhaust was clogging. So if you look here, this is exhaust in. You are coming out from here, and you want to go into the cat. And then you want to go out from the cat. Out from the cat, not in, right? It was backwards. Now this is exhaust out. That is wrong. That needs to be flipped. So generally the problem, like, for example, if your build runs for a little while, the two culprits that those of us who help people out with this stuff often find is, one, it's fuel venting. You didn't vent your fuel tanks. You need to do that. Two, it's your cats are backwards. So one thing you can always test too is if you want to test out your exhaust, you just run it without cats. That's one. The other one is you can put a air manifold on the exhaust to delete the exhaust. That will figure it out. But right here, this is pretty conclusive here that your exhaust, your cats were backwards. And so what's happening is because your cats were backwards, the exhaust comes out of here, goes around, comes to here, and stops. Now, eventually, you're going to get up to like 60 atmospheres. And so once you hit 60 atmospheres of exhaust, because you've packed all the exhaust for the last 10 minutes into this length of pipe, the pressure gets so high that the exhaust cannot come out anymore, and your engine dies. So let's make sure you don't have any more cats. That goes to a splitter there. I hope that's a splitter. Where's that going? Okay, that goes up here to a T-piece and out to your... I'm not going to follow the whole trail, but I would say that's probably your issue. So what we can do here is just do this. I don't want to follow the whole thing, so let's just take a ram, stick that on here. All right, so your cats are likely backwards. So actually, let's do this. Let's go... I don't want to rip your build apart, so let's do that. I would say that's the problem. So let's go ahead and spawn it. That's the better step before going to the microcontroller. So that is likely it. You'll see often people having these problems where it's usually around like 10 minutes. And you'll see this happens a lot where people, their build will die after 10 minutes. The first thing is, did you ventilate your tank? The second thing is exhaust. All right, this is up and running. Let's open the hood. Let's get this one running. So the control never changes. So if you want to test this scientifically, don't change your control. Keep the control the same. Make a duplicate. Check the duplicate. That way, if you have a problem, you can see, okay, this is my control. It always stays the same. This one, I make one change, or in this case, we made two changes, but it should be fine. All right, so now your exhaust has someplace to go. Before, it was coming to this cat and stopping. So this was filling up with exhaust. Eventually, this is going to fill up as much as it can, and it's going to pressurize, and you are not going to be able to push any more exhaust through there. So those cats are one direction. I'll read chat in a second. We've got these up and running. That's all right, dude. It literally happens every day that somebody has a problem, and they'll say, you know, after 3 kilometers or after 10 minutes, my boat stops running or my truck stops running. And those of us who've been doing this for a while first kind of think either fuel or exhaust. And it's simple things. Exhaust is probably, a lot of people are not doing their fuel venting. You should be doing your fuel venting. That needs to be done, because what's eventually going to happen is you are going to pull a vacuum in those fuel tanks, and eventually you're not going to be able to replace. You need to replace that fuel that you've burned with air. And then the second one is the exhaust. And it's usually a cat backwards because they're one direction. Because it needs to take exhaust and it needs to convert it into its byproduct and send it out. So try that. That should fix it. We'll run these for a minute. So again, because we have the control here and we have this one here, this one should die. This one should not. So I've got them at full throttle here to try to build this up. So let's look at exhaust. Exhaust is at 100%. Exhaust over here is at 100%. Let's see, catalytic converter here. As you can see, exhaust in is 7.8 liters per second. Exhaust out is 3.69. We're at 4 atmospheres, 0.4 and 0.5. Let's look at the one over here. This one is clogging everything up. So look at this one. Look at exhaust out. It's at 36 atmospheres. So as soon as this gets up to probably around 60, it doesn't necessarily have to be at 60. I would say that the exhaust ports are coded to 60, probably. But look, your exhaust is not coming out. You see that you have zero flow there? And because you have zero flow, it's building up atmosphere. You're building up pressure because it has no place to go, right? It's like you're pumping it into a balloon. The balloon's gonna eventually, you know, stop filling up. The balloon will pop. But if you did a metal container, eventually the metal container would get so full and the pressure would get so high you can't put any more exhaust in there. Then your engine chokes because it can't get rid of its exhaust. So that would likely, I would say, I'm probably 99% sure that's what your problem is. We'll just wait quickly until this finishes. You're pretty close to having this engine die. But you can see the difference. And this is how you can tell if you have enough exhausts on your build. If this is still building up exhaust with it the correct direction, you need to add more exhaust pipes. Because you need to be getting rid of the exhaust as fast as you're making it. Or else eventually you're going to build it up and you're going to clog. So, but you can see the difference. It's night and day right there. So that's pretty conclusive. That's what the problem is. So, yeah, glad that was helpful. Yeah, it's just, if I have to go into a microcontroller for, like, I know everybody and their brother likes to do ZE. I'll kind of explain why I didn't want to go into it. Is the problem is this: I have to go and I have to learn why somebody made their microcontroller the way it is. And I don't have a problem with that if I can ask the person who made it. Like, if you were the person who made the microcontroller and I can be like, hey, why did you do this? Oh, well, because I wanted to accomplish this. Then I can say, well, this might be a better way, or we can use your system, but we have to change this. If I have to go learn, like, jerseys, like, I helped somebody out. It took me 3 hours to help them out because I had to stop and go through Jersey's microcontroller, learn why he was doing this, and this, see if it was up to date, and then so that's usually why I kind of stay away from working on other. Okay, so this one's dead. So let's look. 60 atmospheres. So you notice your exhaust is up to 60 atmospheres. That's max pressure that the game allows. So the exhaust has no place to go. It is all in this tube. So this one should be fine. So it's simple problem, not a big deal. It's pretty common at this point that this happens, but you do need to ventilate your tanks too, because likely what's going to happen is you have a lot of tanks. You have 6 tanks, so likely what's going to happen is you might be able to drive for an hour, but eventually you are going to clog those tanks up. You're going to pull a vacuum. You're not going to be able to get any fuel out. This happens in real life. Let me bring up a quick picture. Go ahead and watch that tutorial video at some point, Turtle Unit. If you look up, let me see, airplane, fuel vent. All right, so you have fuel vents on your cars. You have fuel vents on airplanes. It's a real life thing. So this is the picture I use. This is the fuel vent on a Cessna 172. So as the fuel tanks drain in the wing, air needs to be able to go in this tube and replace the fuel, or else you will starve your engine. That's part of, like, when you learn to be a pilot, that's part of one of the things you learn. And when you do your walk around, this is an item on the checklist to check your fuel vent. And the reason is, if a mud wasp builds a nest in there, the air can't replace the fuel and your engine will die. This is a real life thing. Let me see if I can find a car fuel vent. They're in cars. Here's a car fuel vent, right? These are all car fuel vents. Here's a diagram. See if I, oh, don't. Actually, that's not a bad diagram. I can open that up. So here we go. As you can see, you have, here's your vent right there. So the you need to have a fuel vent higher than the neck. That's why. That's one of the reasons why when you're filling your car, the pump will shut off, is because you do not want fuel going into your fuel vent. All right, it will damage the system. Let's see. We have boat fuel vent. I put fuel vent. All right, there's a boat fuel vent. Again, this is a fuel vent for boats. So this is something the devs told us we were going to have to do. It is not a huge deal. It's literally a gas relief valve, which is pretty much its only job is to keep fuel from leaking out, and a fuel port. And that's it. And the air pressure will come in and replace the fuel. That's all you really need. But it is a realistic thing that you do have to worry about. So that would become a problem likely on your build. Some people don't run into it because they despawn their vehicle so often that when they despawn it, it equalizes the pressure. When they respawn it, they don't have to worry about it. So those are the two things, but your cats was definitely the issue. So just check that out. That's actually a common problem a lot of people have been having. But, you know, next step after exhaust was to hook it up to my microcontroller and see if it was a microcontroller issue. Let me just quickly catch up on chat. Do I do workshop streams every day? Pretty often. Workshop. I have a bunch of different series. I do workshop. I do career build series live. I'm gonna do some. I do multiplayer. What else do I do? I don't do cap air much anymore. I haven't done cap air in a while, but not every day. But I do quite a few of them. All right. Glad that was helpful, Turtle. Yeah. So this is one thing I kind of advocate for. Is the easiest thing to do to get help too is a workshop link. You can see how quickly I can usually find a problem with a workshop link. The problem is this, and why I'm a little hesitant sometimes to even help on some of these things is it becomes like 20 people yelling out 10 different answers, and you're going to go and you're going to make big changes to your build that, like, say 9 out of 10 are the wrong answer, because, like, we're doing the best we can, but until we see the build, it's harder to figure it out. So, like, really quickly there, I was able to find it. Generally, workshop link's going to be the best. Like, I'll even delete those if you want to get those off the workshop, because I'm not going to, you know, I know you didn't want them on the workshop, so I'll delete those. I'll delete the build so that I don't have a copy of it. But yeah, that's generally what the problem is. If you're having, it's usually about like 10 minutes. It's however long it takes to fill up the exhaust pipe to 60 atmospheres. That's usually what it is. And so it is a very common problem people have, and that is why they have it. I'll have to wait. These backups will eventually get cleared out. But let's open up my build. We'll start working on that. That's what I want to work on now. But glad that was helpful. All right, good, yep. Yeah, so you should be good. That happens, man. It's like, I do it too. I forget some of these things. It's just, you know, like, I literally forget to do connections all the time. That's why, like, even, you know, some of these guys will point things out to me. They'll be like, oh, you forgot to connect this or that. You know, it's, we all do it. All right. Yep, sounds good. Glad you found it helpful there, Turtleman. All right, did I put up, let me see if I put stream ping on. I did not post them on Twitter, but I don't think I care to post them on Twitter. All right, good. So let's go ahead and we'll work on this build here. Make sure I said hi to everybody. Hello, Alistair. How are you? Echo, I believe I said hello. I see. Hey, Cap, question mark. Yes, exclamation point. Yep, and turtle unit. Excellent, guys. All right, it's good. So let's work on this. I started working on this before I went to dinner. So this is going to be my new VTOL twin container cargo. And it's going to kind of be based off of Night Owl systems. I'm going to redo the cockpit section. I don't want it as beaky. I'm going to kind of redo it. So what I'm going to do here is, let's go ahead, and it's a little bit round for my liking. Got too much junk in the trunk. So let's go ahead and cut this. The benefit of this is hopefully I can get this built pretty quick using Night Owl systems. The other VTOL is a little bit problematic. So let's start with the vert. All right, so essentially one of the things we need to do is we need to go down and we need to convert everything down to a 1x1 so we can get a 45-degree angle for the cockpit. That's going to be our best strategy. So generally, the pilots will sit up higher than the deck, but they'll sit lower than the ceiling. So those are kind of some general rules. This is a problem here with this. So this is going to be a problem here. I can fix it up to this point, maybe. I have to look. That's going to be iffy. Nope, I can fix it to there. So this is a join point here. So this is kind of, we have to go here to get this to join up properly. So we'll start with this because this is a must. You know, and so if you have to do something, you got to do it. Just do it. So. And then I'm going to steal the wing off of probably that VTOL. I like that wing on this because I have to put a bunch of components in there for fans. And I'm trying to decide if I want this 4 or 2 engines. 2 engines might be too weak. I don't know. It's probably not. But all right, so in order for this cockpit to work properly, we do have to convert this down to 1 bangers. To make this work. So, and then generally the cockpits will narrow to allow the pilots to sit next to each other. You don't want to be 200 feet away from each other, and you want to be able to look out of your left and right window to be able to see. And so you generally want to have that viz. right, and then, so I'm trying to see where I want to set this up here. I might, you know what we're going to do? We're going to probably cut in here, I'd say, and go do a double set here, because I got to get this set up for windshield glass. That's kind of something I have to do. I need to be able to get the windows in. So I'm trying to think of that the whole time. If I want to drop them down, I can do some angle work, but it's a little bit tough the way I've got this build. This build's a little bit on the square side. It's going to get some good shaping, but it has to kind of stay square to get these containers in. These container builds tend to be a little bit square for me. So let's join those up for now, and then I need to get the glass up in here. So let's see. That's going to be too shallow. This is the problem with going 2s, 1, 2s. All right, let's cut out here a little bit. I need to start getting this narrowed up. I can't make it persist for too long. So let's see. We'll play with a couple designs. I got to think about the interior dimensions of the cockpit, so that's kind of what I'm mainly trying to do, and how the glass is going to interact. So I got to kind of keep that in mind. I'm not doing XML windows. So. I refuse. I refuse. All right. Let's see. I've got some other builds I can just grab cockpits off of too, or noses off too if I want. But we'll kind of see what I want to do here. That's coming up funky already. A little bit funky there. Yeah, not digging that. The problem is the way I've got those 2-bys, that's a pain in the ass to fix. Alright, so let's see. I gotta go to 1-bys. Just have to do it. This could be a little bit of an overhang, but that's excessive to do doubles on that. Let's try to go extreme on this. Keep on the 4 bangs for a little bit. I gotta get this deck angle down. We'll play with a couple designs. I already got some done already. I'm trying to stay out of those for now. Should probably go to 2s. I'm already on the 2s train, so yeah. Get that in there. Try 2s and see where I can get this, because I have to think of the bottom too, so I'm trying to think how this glass is going to interact. And I don't want too much overhang, so I've got a bunch of problems I'm trying to solve for right now. So one thing to do is measure, because I need the pilots. So the pilot seats need to be, they're 3 wide, and then I want at least a 3 wide center console. So that is as narrow as I can go. But the nose can continue to narrow up a little bit. But the only way that the glass is at 45-degree angle, so the glass has to be at a 45-degree angle. Then we run into problems here. So let's play with this design a little bit, see what I can do. That starts bringing the glass in there. I might grab and see that. I forget what I want to do here. All right, let's continue this here. Shit, I didn't mean to do that. Let's fix this. I gotta get more of a beak on this. So let's go to 4s. This makes the ceiling a big pain in the ass. That's why I was trying to avoid it, but I'm going to have to. This really does make the ceiling a big pain in the ass. It does. Where the hell is it? Right there. This is what it needs, but it's just the ceiling becomes a pain in the ass at this point. It becomes pretty useless. but it's going to have to do it. Let's go to 2s here. Got to keep an eye on, make sure I don't screw up how much space I need for my pilots. And if I go to a 1 stack there, I could probably cut through there. All right. All right, see, this becomes an issue here because I need to get down to 2s. So let's try... this is a pain in the ass here. That gets me down to 1, so I need to go 4s. I need to go all the way to 4s here. All right. I can get this where I need it. So my options of this, like, I can either go... If I go to a 2x4, this is made up of 2s. You can see this is 2s, 2s. The glass will not merge with that. You know, it won't work with that. So what I need to do is then, if I go to a 4-banger, you can see the 4 reduces down to a 1 here, and that will allow me to get the 4 head I need to be able to put the glass in that I want. So, right. So we need to cut the nose like that, and then we'll... So that needs to keep coming in. And then, so I need to measure this to make sure we're going to have pilot space. So 1, 2, 3, and a center console. That will work. All right, so that works. All right, and then this will work here. I got to be careful. I can't go too far forward here because I've got this build pushed all the way to the back. So I'm not XML on a workbench to get this out of here either. So that's why I'm kind of being careful here. Is I can push the nose back, but I don't want to lose the ability to have 2 containers in there. So that's a problem as well. Let's see. Do I want to... How steep is a... Could try to go steep on this. You don't want the pilot sitting up too high either. So we gotta worry about that, and then the nose, because if I have to get the nose up to here, the nose has to go all the way out to here. The lower I can get this, the quicker I can end the ceiling. So I can push this back some if I need to. How far back is... Yeah, I can go like 1 block back if I need to. So I'd have to change my gantry crane, which isn't the end of the world, but I have to keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead, start trying to slap some glass in here. So slap a little glass in here. That will help. I think I'm probably going to put 3 bangers in here. It's going to look funky without 3 bangers in here, so let's put a 3. That's got to happen. Yeah, it's becoming so big that it's gonna need a 3-banger in here to for glass. All right, so let's get the windows in. You can bring up chat. All right, so let's see. These are my 3-bangers. Can we get fins in here? Probably not. I don't mean finish. I hate rotating these with a passion. There we go. So these are fins. These are 5s. That's max size. And we put in a center pedestal there in the middle. Don't want it to be pretty modern. And then it's going to go back to 4, so we're going to do these as overhangs, which is good. I can go 1 wider on that. Let's see. I don't have anything wider, do I? And I'm not going to XML the glass, so. Yeah, that's max there. So we'll go 3-banger on that. And I'm trying to lay off an eyebrow so I don't have an eyebrow on there. Let's see. I haven't played with the 1 on this. Okay, let's go. Generally, I do this because I don't XML the windows in there. I have 0 desire to do that. Doesn't interest me. Okay. All right, so that looks like that's going to be the glass of our cockpit. It is higher than I'd like. I'd like to drop this whole thing down more, but I can't really unless I push it out. And then the nose is going to run foul of the workbench limitation, so can't do that. All right, let's cut all this out. And then we can start rejoining this. So let's go ahead and I'll fix this in a second. So let's go ahead and let's try, see if I can even get 4s in there. We'll see. And then, yeah, this is where it becomes a pain in the ass. If I step this back, I can get backward a little bit more. I can go to 2s. Let's try 2s on here. The problem is I'm trying to get this height to drop down. Let's go 2s. I can drop that height a little bit faster. I can always back it up if I don't like it. Now the problem becomes here. Let's see what we can do here. This is gonna become a little. This could become problematic. I gotta play with this. That will let me drop it down more quickly, but then I need to transition to something I can get. I need to get 1s in there. And converting this over is not easy. Because I have to go to a 4 at that point, and then it looks funky because it's changing diameters again. So, yeah. I really wish they would give us some 2x glass pieces, because like that's gonna make a hump on there. You can see it humps it out. I don't want that, but I do want this quicker angle on there, so I have to convert this over to 1s. Yeah, there's no easy way to do that without I gotta put 4s on there. I have to put 4x4s on there to get this to convert over to 1s. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. That's not... I like the shape of that, too. I just need to get this glass fixed up here. Let me see. I really hate rotating these. They're such a pain in the ass to rotate right. That is 1 too many. So, so let's see. Need a 3 on there. So 1x3. What is it? 1x3x4? I don't think it is. It might be a 1x3x4. Yeah, it is. Okay. I hate rotating these with a passion. I really do. There we go. That finishes that, and then so this will just make it proud. It's a little less recessed. Proud, by proud I mean sticking out. Make it stick out less. Right. That will join a little bit better. Try not to XML glass. Rather not. Really rather not. Where are you at there, guy? Pyramid. How's it going there, David? How are you? 1 by 1 fist in the corner, 3 by 3, copy. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see. That's, yeah, I'm gonna walk it slow. I think we'll just stop it abruptly there. Maybe I'll try to put some sort of curse reduction on there. Just measuring across. So I need at least 9 across. We got 11, so we're in good shape there to keep that like it is. And then what I could do is put you on here. That's generally what I do. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Generally what I do, instead of trimming out the window. Right. So now let's start getting, we need 2 bangers in here. So let's go ahead and start putting some 2 bangers on for the dash. Right there. All right, so 2 bangers are kind of always my default dash for these. Like that, because they, you know, they convert into 1 bangers. That's why I do that. All right, and then we want to, I want more of a rounded nose on this, so we'll start rounding it out. So we could, I don't know how sharp I want this nose. Start working on this nose and see what I can do. Yeah. This side, this area I need to work on. I need to hang off this area for a little bit. And then I need to start working this nose out. So let's get the general shaping of the nose, because I do need to make it match up here for me. So like, I'm kind of leaning more towards 737 nose on this. So let's pull that. 7.3 has pretty much a 7.2's nose. Here, I'll bring it up. Kind of leaning towards 7.3, like even a modern 7.3, like the modern series 7.3. Like if we did 737-200, you can see the old nose. Sticks up more rounded. The newer nose and like an 8, 9. Different, little bit of a different nose on there. It even has more of a 7.6 looking nose on that. Like this is a 7.6 nose. Much more rounded. 5 has the 7.5 has a very strange nose on it. You can see it has this kind of more forehead and then roundy out. C-130 is good to look at too, kind of cargo plane nose. This one has a very old school 1950s nose on it. Sometimes I do that on some of the builds. Like if we look at it like an A400, see it has kind of the big forehead, kind of C-17 type of nose on it. You can see those. So. All right, let's go ahead and we'll keep playing. So I'm kind of thinking about a bunch of these in my head of what I want to do. So the thing too is we can't let this nose get too long here, or else we run into problems with, we run into some issues with the base running out of space. So a couple things we can do. One, we can switch out to 2s, but then that may, to 1s rather. Let's do that to start with, because I need to finish this before we hit the end limit of the base. So generally, try to put some sort of small correction. So it's a 2 to a 1, and then I'm probably going to do vert 2s to start bringing that down faster, because we're gonna, like, if I kept it at this rate, we would run out of space. So I need to kind of go to 2 bangers on here to get that angle down. And so to quicken that pace a little bit. Because it is a cargo plane after all, that is probably a hair quick. So let's go ahead and I'd say that's still too quick. So let's, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like it has mouse acceleration when I move. Checked everything too. It's not mouse acceleration. It's just friggin' obnoxious is what it is. Keep it sharp up here, and then we'll straighten it when it gets down a little bit. And then I'll work this angle in a little bit over here. All right, now let's go to ones. Having that 1 conversion is kind of a good palette cleanser to get it to work, to be where we want it. All right, let's go double stack on ones. Don't like to go more than a double stack. It starts getting excessive. The shape starts looking the same, and it continues on the same for too long. Might do a triple stack on that. I generally don't do that, but I've got a little bit of space to keep working that. Don't like to go that far with it, though. It's not too bad right now. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do a vert 2, and we'll see how we're doing. I need to make sure there's enough space to put the front landing gear in there. That's important. So this is going to get a reasonably large nose for that reason. But it is going to have a cargo plane's nose, so that's kind of the dealio with this. It's going to have a cargo plane's nose. So we'll do this will be the beginning of kind of the rounding out to go to the bottom segment. So kind of 7.3, a little bit more cargo planey than 7.3, as that's what it's going to be. It's going to be more of a cargo plane. Because I'm trying to leave a little bit of space here. Could keep going down to straighten the nose out a little bit, but we'll see how we get. We're actually already hitting the bottom pretty quick. Let's go ahead and let's back it up. Let's throw another 2 stack on here. I think we're going to have room. It's tough to tell. Let's go ahead and put another set of 2 stacks on here. We may have enough room for this to run a 2 stack again. Can be iffy. Okay, and then I'm trying to keep this sharp for a little bit at least. That's not too bad. Come on, dude. Place it where I want it, not where I place it. Alright, let's trim off some of this beak there, and then let's go ahead and... What are we looking at here? We have a 2 to a 1. We could run all 4s in the bottom. That's a thought. We're going to run 2s. Let's try a set of 2s. If we're going to go to 4s, I should probably put a palette cleanser of 2s in there. How's it going there, Guard Halo? Good to see ya. How have you been? How hath thou been? Alright, let's go down on that. Might do a double stack of flat blocks there to kind of round that nose out again. It's, you know, cargo planes look like cargo planes for reasons. Like they're They have so much drag on them, there's no reason to put a super arrow nose on there, so I might step that up a hair. You know, because they look weird if you have this super streamlined cargo plane, because it's like it's not that aerodynamic. It's like you're just wasting a bunch of shit trying to get it super duper aerodynamic. All right, let's kind of check the design out on this, see how this straightens out. I'm liking it. I'm digging it in general. You know, we can cut out one of those one blocks to get that. This is going to probably be a little bit pinched here, so what I'll probably do is cut out one of these 1x4s and drop it if it's problematic for me. It's got a pretty pointy nose for a cargo plane. It's not too bad. I want it to look sleek and fast. So you notice why I made the changeover. It's important to do the changeover here because then you can now switch from 2s back to, you switch back to these 2s. Now you need to make sure you have enough space to get all 3 of them in there like that. So that's part of the issue there. Then this is now, if you look, that's 2 and 2, that's 4. You know, and when you go to a 4, it goes back to 1s. So you can see that will now join. So you kind of have to, it's just like, this is all practice. Like people always ask, like, how do you make good cockpits? It's practice. You gotta, you know, can't do an end run around the practice. You just have to do that. All right, that's pretty good. It's kind of getting where I want it to be. This is problematic for me here, though. I might just screw around with that and keep it flattened, and then that's what I'm going to do. Keep this like that, and then I'll screw with it, I think. Because I got to round out a little bit and meet up with the body. Now stop. Go like that. Generally the cockpit, you know, the cockpit where it joins the body is a little bit different, kind of like this. You tend to be able to look over the side of the cockpit too. You need to be able to look out, have good viz. Doesn't have to be like video game viz, like that's overdoing it usually, but alright, and then we can add a join on there. This is going to be a problem here. That's going to be a problem because the way I went to that. Yeah, it's going to be problematic down here, so I got to fix this. Landing gear has to come all the way back here, which we got to be careful. I can come to there. That's not too bad of an overhang. In general, I'm liking it, but I got to do some work on it. Needs a little bit of work. Can I bump? Can I bump 2 is the question. Not really. I could probably, actually. Just back it up. This gets me, the benefit of this is I go to 1-bys on this. That's too fat. That's just way too fat. If I could, I'd even cut in on this and go down, but I can't cut these out, these 2s out. They have to be 2s. Could try a rounding pass on it, but I'm not going to be able to get it on there. I have some problems at the bottom that I do have to fix, so I could fix that by cutting out one of the 1x4s. The 4x4s, whatever the hell they are. That gives a little bit better of a curvature going in there. Check chat in a second, guys. This is where I toil, trying to get this exactly how I want it. I want this more vulture and less woodpecker. More vulture, less woodpecker. That's better. Could also go up if I needed to, but cargo plane, you tend to get it. It goes all the way down to the ground. What is on the bottom here? That's a problem. That conversion's a problem. So I gotta screw with this. Ah, shit. That is gonna be a problem. Because I can't go to 2s on here. Yeah, it's gonna be a problem the way I have this bottom laid out. I can't fuck with that. So. Let's bring this forward so I know what I have to do. Because the way I have the back, I can't screw up the back. The back needs to stay this way to keep the ramp correct. Can't really screw with this too much. Okay. That steps out too much. Shit, let me see what I can do here. Not gonna be able to get that line to this set here. Close. Close. Let's see what we can do here. Let's trim this. Need to just step out one. That's the problem, is I can't get it to step out just one. That's gonna misalign this in the back here. So I gotta set this bottom up to work with this belly section. I can't have that 4s in the back because I need this to be 2s on the rail and then the door, or else if I try doing 4s, the door is going to get shrunk too much. Hello, Trippa. Yeah, like a cargo plane looking like the Concorde, it just doesn't look right, and that's the thing that, you know. How to make a plane cockpit? It's kind of hard to like do make a plane cockpit because it'd have to be a series, like go over part by part by part. Like it could be a series, and the problem is it's a lot of downtime with that type of tutorial because it's like me changing the gauges 400 times. That's why I usually do those live, because it's just like it's me changing gauges like 400 times. Like I do a lot of that cockpit work off screen just because it's like that doesn't work because of this, and this, and then I end up having to change it 90 times. That's kind of hard to do a tutorial on. So we need to get a 2-banger all the way out to that, essentially. So it has to be a 2-banger. It has to be on this level. So what we could do is could rack double 2s. Let's try that. See if I can meet up with it. We're off a little bit, I think. I'm feeling like we're off a little bit, so it's going to be tough. Might see it's misaligned. That's a problem. So if I could somehow cut this beak out a little bit. If I could round this nose out more, I might be able to fix this. Let's save it. I haven't saved in a while. So I need that to match up, and you see it's offset by 1. If I go down another set, it should potentially catch up where it needs to go. So I'm trying not to rip it apart. See, that's offset 1. See if I can step it over. See, I can't step this over 1 is the problem. I gotta kind of build the bottom up. Ah, the pain in the ass right here. Need to offset this all by 1, so I kind of need to round the nose out. Let me play with it a little bit. All right, save, so I can kind of take a hacksaw to it for a little while. Would like a little rounder nose for the cargo anyway, so let's see what we can do here. Axe out of this. I need to get it lined up with these 2x as the kind of the be-all end-all. I can't redo the ramp. Ramp's got to be the way it has to be. See if that offset me enough. That might have done it. Might be all right here. May have done this. Let's see. I think we did. Yeah, that works. All right. That was enough of an offset. All right, good. That should join up there now. There we go. All right, that worked. All right, let's get this fixed up. Oof, we're gonna have a joint problem here. So the bottom has to be the way the bottom is the big problem now. So let's see if I can. Should be able to redo this to hopefully get that joined up right. Yeah, I can work with that probably. I might be able to cut this and fix it in. Let me see. Listen, buddy. Cat's coming, bugging me. That's too rounded on the bottom. So so it worked getting it set up and try to it worked to adjust it right. Let's see what I can do here. Try cutting out the center section here and see what I can do. Because I've got this joined up where it needs to be, so. So let's see if I can do. Gotta convert from 2s down to 1s. Not fun. Easiest way to convert 2s to 1s is going to be a 2x2. And then go into the. Let's try. If I can duplicate this up down, I think we can get there. I have to then go to these because these 2x2 pyramids here convert to 1s. That's part of the problem. I gotta convert it over. Yeah, and then I can't get this pushed over to the right correctly. And this needs to align the way it needs to align to push up with the side rails. So I could do something like an overlay block. Let's try to rejoin this. It'll be a pain in the ass, but we'll see what we can do. That's a conversion nightmare there. See if I can make a kind of cool nose out of it that maybe has a little bit of detail on it. See what we can do here. Generally, I don't like sawtoothy nonsense, so tends to be against what I'm about. So let's see what we can do to fix this in here. Try to convert this. Can't convert a 1 there yet. But push this, I can try to convert it out. No, it's not gonna do. I'd have to go 2, 2. Have to use 2 to get that. Trying to count out the block, see where I'd have to go. This then becomes a pain in the ass because this is misaligned, and that's just causing problems. Yeah, the cockpit's misaligned from the exterior blocks on the bottom. Just one off because I need 2s there to get this out. Yeah, I gotta get this converted over. So what I could do is trim the center 2s. That to join up there. It's just it's not going to want to join up there is the problem. Trying to think of interesting ways I could get it to connect up. This set of 2s here is what's screwing me. I need to convert it over to 1s to be able to hook it to the bottom properly. So I need to get into like 2x2s to get that converted out. Can't do it off of that. Let's try something here. This could be the key here. If I can drop those, come in here, and then if I get the 1s, I can probably convert it out. Don't necessarily want it that sharp, but let's run it like that. And if we need to do an overlap block, we can. See, that's going to be 1 off regardless. So it has to come up like this for the overlap blocks, essentially. What am I working on? I'm working on a VTOL cargo plane. That's the offset's fucked up on that. This offset's screwing me right here. That's the problem, is that offset. Take a hacksaw out of this really quick. It's gotta be aligned, or else it's gonna cause me problems. So we're gonna just take a blowtorch this real quick. The cockpit's where I want it. The ramp is where it needs to be and where I want it. So So I've got to get that aligned with this slope here. And then try to pull it in here. So that's just what has to happen. So this here needs to... It's got to happen. Just has to. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's got to stick out one. That then causes an issue up here where I can probably make some sort of interesting nose feature. Maybe, maybe not. Probably, hopefully fix this up now. That's what happens. And then this overhangs for no reason. Let's try dicking with the back. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Could do a little bit of a sawtooth jaggedy here to make this work. Right around here. And then leave the back the way it is. See if I loathe it or if it's going to be okay. This needs to align. It just has to. Just has to align here. No, there's nothing I can do without that aligning properly. Okay. What do we got? 1, 2. Yeah, see, it's not even. I can't get 4s in there. I don't really want 4s in there, I guess. Go on, drag, you sucker. Ugh, I loathe the drag. Gotta find a block in the back I can drag it to. It's really friggin' annoying. It just keeps doing it. There's finally found something back here it would try to grab to. Yeah, that's fucking offset one. Here, let's do this, and then I'm gonna screw with it and try to get it fixed. Again, it's like you're building this and you're looking at it really closely, and so it bugs you the whole time, and then later you won't give a shit about it. It's just like... As of right now, it's being obnoxious and it's bugging me. See that? Misalignment. Fucking me so bad. Can I, is there some way I can move that in the bottom? Not really. Try to think, you know what I could do? Let's do this. So the wheels are going to be going in here. What I'll do is I will change over to the rear section after the wheels, because the wheels are going to be a big dent down on the bottom. That will allow me to change them out. So let's do that. I think that's going to solve my issues and keep me from getting annoyed with this and keep the shape the way I want it. But let's do that. I think that's probably my best bet to not get aggravated with this. I don't... Let's see if I can do... let's try it. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use the wheels as kind of a way to change over the shape. And then that... Let's see. Yeah, we're shy of 1 on a 4. Yeah, we're shy of 1 on a 4. Unless I want to bump it out. Because I do need to meet up here, so I'm trying to see. Yeah, I think I like the 2s better anyway. Let's run 2s, and then we will, when the wheels come in for the mains, I'll bump them out, and then that will fix this section here. So good. So that will get rid of this requirement for that to be the same as the rear. And then let's see, what can I do here? This is going to be a problem here too. Pisser, it really is. It's kind of pisser there. Not terrible, but it's a little pisser. Alright, that's what I'm going to end up doing. That way I can just get this to work and we'll transition through the wheel arches. So generally I like the shape. Yeah, I'm generally liking it. Got some problems, but it's again, cool factored out and it won't bother me later. Trying to make it perfect now is just not wise. Alright, let's try to get this integrated a little bit better, so we'll find ourselves some sort of design element to get that kind of integrated here. Probably, let's try to undo all the side bullshit there that I just put in. Alright, good, so that will work. And then we'll go, gotta join up with this here. Now that lines up here. Off-centered in that? We're good. There we go, I'm liking that. Where are you? Right there. Alright, that looks sleek as shit. We like that. Looking pretty sleek, pretty nasty. I want a little bit of speed out of this bad bitch, so I'm going to work that out. Can I run a double? Let's try to run a double here. Look a little bit funky, but it won't look that funky. It'll give us a little bit of rounding. Then when we go into the wheels, we won't miss it anymore because we'll switch to the 2x in the back. That'll give us a nice flat surface in the bottom for our nose wheel. Okay. I'm liking it overall. It's going to have a high wing that will hide some of the crimes. So this will go wherever this is going to be, which the mains need to be just after the center of gravity, or else you'll sit on your ass. The mains are coming in here in pods. And I need to push my center of gravity back. Just, it's the nature of this type of low-slung airplane. It needs to be taller if it's going to be sitting. It needs to be taller if the gear is further forward. So we'll end up working it here, but that's, for now, that's getting this treatment. Is there any way to switch over to 2 there without being obnoxious? No. Just the answer is no. Like, theoretically... Let's see. I do not think there's any way. Like, there's like an overlap or something I can do. Like, that's not terrible. Like, this is what will end up coming up here with the... Yeah, that's what's going to end up coming up there with the... I could try something. I don't like zigzaggy bullshit. I really don't. So, like, I'm going to try it and see if I like it, but generally I don't. So, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be here. Like that. Could you just give it even, please? Thanks. Let's go see if I can integrate this to where I like it. Have to go back 2 maybe. 1. Because it's going to be in the bottom, it's hard to see, so it might look... God damn it, if this would just drag to where I'm asking you to, guy. Yeah, that's then we have a problem up here, too. Like, that's a minor little overhang there. And I can't really dress that in, but we'll see what I can do there. And this becomes a pain in the ass here, but... Again, you know, you get close to these things and it bothers you at the time, but then you get it built and you don't give a shit. And it's like, it is a blessing sometimes. So I got a couple options to address it. So we'll just make a decision now and then I can change it later if I don't like it. I'm not changing the rear door. The rear door works exactly how I want it to, so I don't want to screw with that. That's an important feature. And once it's painted too, it kind of puts detailing and hides some of this tiny little things that are wrong. Generally, I like the general shape, but what do you guys think? And then we have plenty of space in the cockpit. That is 11 wide. We need 9. So we've got the space so we can put kit bags. So in general, I like that shape. Especially like having this type of 4x roof, it kills any chance I have to put in overhead panels. Still got a little space. I got a good bit of space for overhead. We're not doing too bad for overhead panels. Like this right here. I can do 6 packs here. 3 center console. So this is going to be the console here. So, and we'll push the chairs in 1, and put kit bags to the left of the pilots. So it'll be like that. Let's go sit on that, see what I think. That's good. Good overhead space. Could bump them up just a hair, but it starts to feel like they're too claustrophobic. Yeah. We're too close to the dash as well. So we can bump these, push these back and up maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Up is iffy for me, but back is, I would say so. Yeah, that's good. So we'll set up good viz on there. Maybe try up. We'll see if I like it or not. Sitting this high above it, I would need to put a instrument cluster up a little bit. I'd have to move the instrument cluster up. Yeah, instrument cluster would have to go up, so that window there, I don't think I can get the instrument cluster in where I'd want it. Should have stayed in the seat. Let me quickly do a pan and see how I like it. I like the lower sitting position. That's actually not, I like this better. So let's try to get that instrument cluster up. So we might have to knock this window out and move it to get the side piece in. And then because I want to get an angle in there, so what we'd have to do is go like that to get that in there, which isn't the end of the world. To move the collision to the outside. I don't hate it, so. Do not hate it, so. This sort of stuff is what really is important to me with airplanes, is I need airplanes to be you gonna fit there or no? Yeah, you should fit there. Why don't you fit there? Are you still hitting the glass above? Yeah, I can't get an XML block in there either. I would need a block up there. Like that's the stop. That's the appropriate spot for where the seats should sit and the instrumentation should be. But I can't make it work with this glass. I could trim the glass and go real. I don't want to trim the glass though. That's where I should sit, frankly. It's right like that. It looks sleek. I like the nose design. That bottom's a little funky, but can't do much with it. If I do, screw with this, I have to get let's try this. I have to, the cockpit for me is like always the most important thing, is being a pilot, so I have to get it where I want it, or else it bugs the shit out of me. So these, let's put these back down and drop the ceiling maybe one, and drop the and switch the glass out to smaller glass. It gets a little bit funky in there with smaller glass. No, I want 2x5 there. There we go, 2x4 to 5s. Yeah, a lot of people just love massive glass, and it's like, you don't really get that. Kind of have a more narrow viewport than people think you do. You get a pretty narrow viewport. It's kind of, I like that. That's what I'm used to. How did this window get pushed out backwards? It did, but... I like that actually better. That's better. Yeah, it's like a bunch of games, like people always want these bubble canopies, and I absolutely abhor a bubble canopy. I'm very much for realistic, like, you know, constrained view is what you'd get, and that's what I kind of want. I want this constrained view where you're in the cockpit, you know, and you feel like you're in the cockpit. Like, you don't need a lot of view. You're a professional, you spend the time in there, you know where all your reference points are, and, you know, like, you fly this airplane every day, you know what it feels like. That's more what I'm looking for. That fits really well. I like the shorter windows. I always tend to go away from those tall windows. Especially proportionally, this looks better. It's fat on the sides, but I can't really do anything with the blocks we have to get that down to be less fat on the sides. But on the front view, it looks squat. Side looks great. It has good angles. Get a 6-pack in here. We'll get some stuff there. Center console. Kit bags on the left. Come on, camera. Let's not every freaking 5 seconds. I can't do that. Let's play with something real quick here. Yeah, this just doesn't line right if I do that. Let's try to sneak a trim in here. Let's try to sneak a trim down in here. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna back it up. I like this the way it is. Let's not adulterate it too much without a save. All right, let's catch up with Chan here. Yes, the flying thingies. Yeah, I like the PSA planes, yeah. I really probably should not rip this apart again. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna rip this apart again. I knew it was bound to happen. I was gonna rip it again. Rip it good. I did make a save, so I can fix it if I don't like it. It's a cargo plane, too. It doesn't need to look like the Concorde like we were talking about before. A little more 7.6 maybe. Yeah. 7.6 has always been one of my favorites too, so I tend to like a little bit more of a 7.6 nose on things. Let's see what we can do here. I gotta fix all this to make this work. A little bit more rounded out. go. That's like it's reminiscent of 7.3 here and 7.5 or 7.6 rather, not 7.5 at all. 7.3 there and more of a 7.6. Back in the good old days when Boeings were good. Not a mess. Not an absolute disastrous mess. Of shit that just doesn't work anymore. Yeah. We gotta come over one too, so I gotta work down here. Yeah, we're playing with this shit down here again. Alright, let's see. Grab the wrong one. There we go. Nope. Ooh, we might have a prayer line in this back upright too. We'll see. May have a prayer line in this upright. Let's see. Want to get this more cargo plane square, 7.6 square. So we'll try putting a one stack in here before we start bending back. That's going to give me the desired bulldog look more than a, I want a more bulldog than I want it to be too streamlined. I don't want it to be a hummingbird. It's supposed to look beef. It's supposed to look like it can get the job done. Carry some heavy loads, not just dart through the air at fast speeds for the fun of it. Where are you? Keep grabbing the wrong block. There it is. Yeah, that's looking a little bit stouter, a little bit more beefcake. Less it's gonna break its nail trying to carry a couple cargo containers. We are off one again. It sucks. That's all right. We're like, it's gonna be impossible to get that right fix where we want it. All right, we'll expect that we're gonna have to pretty much go to the main gear to do a transfer on this. I'm thinking trade over. To a different angle. Kind of thinking that's just what's going to happen pretty much, which is not a big deal. That's something that I think we can work with. Okay, and then that's shy. That's shy by one to do what I was going to do. Liking this better if we can get this to tune up where I want it. I like this better than the really sharp nose. Yeah. That's a little bit more 7.6. Get some 7.3 elements in it. Yeah, I like that better. Get that nose wheel right out in front too if we wanted to, or I could. So if it's gonna sit low, it needs that nose wheel out front. Can't be too far back. All right, so we're gonna expect we gotta get rid of those, and then trying to think, no way to get to 2s on this. Oh, if I put 2s in there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're gonna be 1 off regardless. No matter what I do, we're 1 off there. Yeah, we're 1 off no matter what. So we'll transition when we get to the mains. We'll try to put the main hump on there. Let's try something here real fast. Doubt it. That would be there. I can't get 2 fulls in there. We don't have the height to do what I wanted to do there. And I'm kind of liking the nose design. So. Play with this. We can always back this up if I need to. Ah, it's already 1s, isn't it? Yeah, it's already 1s. Just trying some different angles, see what I like. That will fit 2. Well, stairs and stormworks. Shaka. That's better, I think. We're still off 1 block no matter what, so I gotta kind of decide that I want to dress this nose the way I want, get back to the mains, and then do a conversion at the mains when we actually change out the blocks. Because what we'll do is we'll completely push the mains all the way across, and then that will take care of the any issues of discontinuity between them. And I cannot sit this up. We're going to push this as high as I can get it, but we're not going to be able to go super tall with this. That's starting to shape a little bit. It's got a little bit of cheeks on it, but I can't do anything with that. It's just, I have to have it push out like this. And then I need enough space in the center for a nose wheel, which we should be fine with. Let's cut that, and then let's continue on. This could be a, this may or may not be a problem here. I gotta check it. No, we do all right there. That sleeks it up a little bit, so I like the sleeker profile on that. Stop. My accuracy is shit right now. There we go. That's sleeking up pretty nice there. Okay. Very 7-3. Very 7-3. Let's go. And then we'll do these until the mains. So let's go ahead and we'll trim this out. So the mains, all right, I need to push some weight. Let's see how high I can get this. The tail plane is right on the ceiling pretty much. That's where I want this to sit. So this is going to sit here. So we're going to go ahead and we'll push this forward. So you need the tail plane. You need the wheels back more if it's sitting lower because you're going to hit the tail sooner. If it's sitting up on stilts, you can have the mains further forward because you're pivoting off the mains and you have the, let's say you have a 10-foot clearance between the bottom and the ground. You can rotate to whatever degree you need to and not hit. So cargo planes tend to have the wheels further back because they're sitting close to the ground to make it easier to load and unload. So you got to consider all that stuff. I might just, you know what, we could just do this and say screw it. Might say screw it. Frankly. Let's say screw it for now, and then I can either push that back or I can do something else later. You know, we could push this all the way back the way it is and then go to the mains. Let's start working on the mains. So what I'm going to do is let's put this back on stilts. It's going to be a high wing. Stick it on stilts. That's where it's sitting. Let's check the cargo. That's not too bad. If it's like this, I could even do mid-wing instead of a high wing. I fucked that up. I gotta fix this one. I jammed this up when I start putting it down. And the ramp needs a little bit of a redesign, but a little bit of a steep ramp. We can work that, redesign it. But it's not too bad, actually. So what I can do is extend the bottom section. The longer the bottom section is, the shallower the ramp is, and then cut this back. That'll allow me to get the gantry crane further back, too. So that's actually beneficial to do that. We definitely have enough space in the nose for a tall nose wheel. And maybe I could even XML something in there just to fix that. Pyramid. Oh, your computer keeps crashing, yeah. Yeah. But I want this to have a little bit of a more rounded beefcake nose. Again, it's supposed to be a cargo plane. I want it to look the part. Like, that's too much. But this is more... This rounds out better than this one does, but this one kind of squat potatoes in the front, but I don't really care. That ends up being what a lot of them look like. All right, let's go ahead and let's work this back ramp now that we're pushing this up taller. So I need more of this to go to the back ramp. Let's trim. So that needs to cover that period. That just needs to go and cover it, frankly. That is... Okay, so we'll keep going. And we'll put a smaller flapper door on here, like that, maybe there. All right, and then... All right. So that's going to be the flap door there. So we will go like this for now. We'll meet them there. Shit. Alright, that's gotta come down. Alright. That's why I didn't drag it the first time. That was gonna be the problem. There we go. Alright, so it's gonna need this longer ramp now. I'll work the end of the ramp in a second here. Try the approach, like, what did I just, dude, I didn't rip that much. Stop. I can go play Tarkov and I have no, like, issues with the mouse, and then I come over here sometimes and I'm like, I swear, it's like, why am I having all these issues with the mouse? Like, I put out a video earlier, cracked a head from good distance, like 225 meters, like it was nothing. And I come over here, I'm trying to move the camera, and it's like, what the fuck is it doing? It's like mouse acceleration is on or something. It's quite annoying. Alright, so that's not a bad ramp. That will get one more leaf on it. So the longer the ramp, the shorter, like you're decreasing the angle of the ramp, so it makes it easier to load and unload. So I need another leaf in there, essentially. So this leaf here, right here, needs to go onto the downward spike, almost, kind of. Trying to think what I need to do in that. So it's like this needs to be part of this here. Stop. This needs to be part of that. Cut, paste that, merge you. You go there, and then this here will get that. Okay, let's run that. See how that looks for me. And then I might try to cut that angle down a little bit if I can on the ramp, on the bottom section of the ramp. But that will give us a longer ramp, which will make it easier to load. The benefit of switching from this to... where's the deck on this? Deck is... Okay, deck is all the way above. Deck is right here, so we're good. So the door, if we put a outside door, it's going there. Might even lower this just a hair, but that's not bad. I almost could see. I don't really want low wing for 'cause I'm gonna put fans in the wing. I don't want low. It would just suck in debris and it would be an absolute disaster. It would chew up the engines. Yeah. Alright, so that's good. Let's work on the, I might drop this a little bit, but... I think that's the ramp where it needs to be. All right, let's start working on the... So we're going to want to pull the mast towards the rear a little bit, probably. Let's save this real quick. I'm going to try to see if I can throw the wing off the other VTOL on this. That would save me an absolute buttload of time. Absolute shitload of time. It really will. That's its wing, because it needs a big center section. I'm putting fans in the wing, and I'm putting the engines on the wing. So I'd like to grab this wing. That's what I'd like to do. This has a ton of stuff it needs already in it. So. But the problem is a bunch of these microcontrollers are ancient. And that could be a problem. What's this gantry crane look like? Got that gantry crane in already too. Let's go ahead and... We're gonna have some shaping differences, but let's copy that. See what we look like here. Let's see what the shaping differences are here. So we go from a... This has a 2 right there, so this will mate to here without any fuss. That'll mate to there without any fuss. It's tall enough we can probably run, because this is going to be... This hump is full of fuel, so we want to keep that close to the CG. Engines are going to be slung under the wings, I'm thinking. So I can move the CG up forward a little bit, and then we're going to need fans in the wings for the vertical portion. So let's try that. See how we merge up with this. It's going to need a little bit of doctoring, but it's not actually that bad. So. The benefit is the hump goes up on the track. Well, I can't do that in the track segment. I gotta bump that down, but that's not too bad. That's pretty good. I dig it. High wing's definitely the way to go. Especially with the ducted fans. The fans are going in the wings. They kind of should be. Try to push the ducted fans in. This is all just joining work. That's not a big deal. I need... The ducted fans have to go in. So let's go... Rotors. All right, let's try these. I don't think I can get these small enough to go where I need them. No. That's not going to go small enough. These are all absolutely enormous. Can we drag them, please? Stop double tapping everything. Yeah, that's just no way. It's gonna have to be the smaller rotors, which is fine. I should be able to make those pretty large. We can do doubles too. Yeah, that fills it out anyway. So let's go. And yeah, we can do all right with this. Let's go. We'll do try 6 blades. We'll do neutrals. We'll do max blade lengths on them. And then this is all full of fuel in the wing, so I gotta dick around with that. Like, I can't even go max blade lengths on these. The likelihood is I can't get an engine there anyways. I'm gonna have to put an engine here. At least one. I might try to run single engines on this. We'll see. The thing is, Night Owl has 4. And if I can get these powered up, I'll try to do 2s on there. Let's try to start cutting. So... come on, dude. So that's got 10,000. These are pushing 120,000. So we're gonna have to get the speed up on these. Not a big deal, I don't think. Try there. We could dual the blades. We could do double blades on this. This is why I did large engines on the other one, was it just looks so tiny. Night Owl has single blades. What do we got there? Center of the blade. We get 3 on either side. Cut, cut. Center there, 5-banger. 5-banger there. All right, good. Alright, that's not too bad. What am I grabbing here? Where are we grabbing a build here? Let's stop. Okay, thanks. How did I get all the extra blocks? Oh, I did, though. Alright, let's not delete important microcontrollers, thanks. Alright, let's see. This has to align correctly, so I gotta check the arrows. We want solids on the right. That one. Oh, alright, good. Hoping I can get these spun up fast enough that we end up not having power problems. That's the big thing. It's gotta actually work, so. And this one here needs to flip. If that's correct. Nope. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so there are the fans in. That's going to be the vertical element there. That'll do our vert flight. Symmetry, where are thou? Where art thou, symmetry? I'll probably cut all this in and fix it, but I'm just kind of... We're not going to see into these very often, so I'm not too concerned about it at the moment. Alright, good. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. Side screwed up, man. Because of the symmetry. Was a mistake not to just fix the other build. No. I was thinking that myself. I was thinking, was that a mistake? It's a bunch of work to do this, but I think this will be a better, cooler build. The other one I want to finish at some point, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. It really is. All right, so let's work this. Grab here. Thanks, guy. Stop. Don't delete random shit. Delete what I'm asking you. Delete, you scumbag. Here we go. That's got a cut there. Alright. And I could probably do with less of a hump on this one. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna delete the gantry crane. I gotta work on it anyways. This stuff can all go for now. That can all go. That's all gantry crane stuff. The gantry crane is gonna be lower on this one anyway because of where it meets up with the doors. The other one sits higher. Okay. So let's join this up. What we'll do here is Go up a little bit, almost C-141 style. It's gonna be an easy place to put fuel. That's one of the reasons I want a hump on there. It's just easy peasy to put the fuel up there. Where are the good airplane challenges, people? I do like the ground challenges, but need a good airplane challenge. Need to be challenged. Need to be challenged. Let's see. I would love to participate in a VTOL challenge. That's what I would like. It's looking pretty clean. Probably use a little bit more hump on here just to convert it over and tighten it up a little bit. That I'd say. And then if I do that, I can put a lot more fuel in here, which I don't think I need an enormous amount of fuel, but a good bit of fuel is helpful. I don't want to be wanting for space for fuel later. Really do not. Don't need to be like, oh crap, where am I going to put all this fuel? Got no place for it. I'd rather have a spot all dictated. Ready to go. Make that symmetrical. A little more of a blister on there. See if I like it or not. I could cut it down. It's a little bit camely for me. Let's see if we can fix under here. Yeah, this shouldn't be a problem. This lines up better than the other one, I think. So let's see. We'll cut that. That's anti-flaps there. So anti-flaps are to make it fly properly like a real airplane. Is you get a lot of drag with flaps too. Still most, well, mostly is not really correct. But you know, you're getting a lot of drag with your flaps, and so this simulates the system a little bit better to make it more behave better. It makes the deck angle a little bit more correct, so that's why I did that. Probably too much of a blister on there, I would say. But that is pretty good wing assembly. I'm happy with that. Definitely high wing screams cargo to me. I think where I'm going to sling these engines, probably... See if I get a large in there. See, I need to get the power up so I can get enough power in this thing. Let's do a nacelle right here. I'm not doing glitchy, stupid bullshit where we put 900 parallel turbines. I hate that shit. I'm not doing any of that. We'll do 2 inline turbines like you would have. No, not having like 900 glitchy bullshits. Not interested. Do a high bypass turbofan. That's what we're going to do. And this is my area. I don't like to do a bunch of that nonsense. It just bugs me. Gonna sit pretty tall, so we should be able to get a pretty big turbofan in there. I very rarely use the larges. Let's see if we can. Please just click where I click you there, guy. See if we can get a large in there. Keep trying to use the right terminology and I get the wrong stuff. The large. That is the large, okay. So we could go down 1. Big honk of a nacelle on here. A large honking nacelle. A high bypass turbofan in here. Let's step you up a little bit. I don't want to get that CG too far forward, but we can throw weight blocks in here. That's the nice thing. Stop with your bullshit here, game. Come on. Jesus. Alright, let's not do that, please. Thanks, guy. Appreciate that. 3. Of course it's 3. That's not a big deal, whatever. Do 2 big high bypass turbofans. They'll turbo shaft run the lift fans. Try not to do silly glitchy bullshit. We'll do 2 inline turbines. See what we get for power. I'm going to do ducted fans out the rear. Don't need to scream. High 2s, low 3s. I'm happy. 2 engines are going to be tough to push to get that out of. But we'll see what I can do. We will see. Why will you not drag normally? Jesus Christ. Rather not go to 4 engines. Oh no, Night Owl has 2. I thought Night Owl had 4 engines for some reason. Yeah, Night Owl has 2. We should be fine. Night Owl's performance is like, if I get Night Owl's performance, I'd be happy. But the likelihood is we don't get it because we're gonna be bigger and heavier. So I doubt we get that. No, stop. Deleting random shit. Click on the block. Thanks. That's not going to work. If I do that, I got to go in and do... This nacelle attachment point is huge. I got to cut that down. We'll trim out here somewhere. We could get the accessory gearbox coming out earlier. Let's see. Let's get the guts in here. I can see where I can cut this for high bypass. Just cut symmetry and duplicated the engines, but whatever. Medium turbine. Where are you at there? Medium turbine right there. You get diminishing returns after 2. I'm gonna try fucking with 3. I'm gonna try it. See what happens. Which side did I put the turbines on? That side. Alright, that's where it's got to be then. Let's see if I can make that work, and then let's cut down for the core section. So the bypass on this is going to be a long dick. Let's see. Let's try going 2. I might have to run really high RPS values on this. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. You know, it is hauling a lot more weight than Night Owl, so I don't mind kind of RPing the fact that, you know, Night Owl is a fast rescue plane, and this is supposed to be a cargo plane. It doesn't need a scream. It really doesn't. Set this up for high bypass. So high bypass, what happens is you suck the air in the N1 section, and essentially it works like a turboprop. So most of the airflow goes around the core of the engine. So some of this air in the center section of your turbine, of your N1 blade, is going to go into the compressor section to be compressed and go through the engine. The rest of it just bypasses. So essentially, like, they were going to even, like, switch to almost turboprops back in the 80s for, you know, they were going to do fan jets. And they ended up doing high bypass turbofans instead. And so most of the air does not go through. It's essentially a turboprop. You know. You know, the public doesn't like propeller planes for some reason, but that was one of the things they did was they you know, did high bypass to increase the efficiencies by massive amounts. And that was how they did it. Was they did it with they did it by doing large N1 sections and passing most of the air around the core instead of into the core. And got huge fuel efficiencies out of it. You know, and then they were able to cut down from a lot of, well, it was E-tops was part of it, engine turn or pilot swimming. E-tops was part of it where they went from 4 engines to 2 engines. But you could generally, your efficiencies go up by cutting the engine numbers. So, you know, having a certain number of engines for, you know, on racks and shit like that helps. If you can cut that number down, that really helps you out for efficiencies. So that's kind of the necessary components to run this. Let's get rid of this nose. The old frog nose here. This out of the build area. What happened there? Let's see. Let's go ahead. I'm going to strip the starboard engine out, the number 2 out, and we will put in the number 1 over there. Now, they turn the same direction IRL. They don't go opposite, and the reason is pretty simple, is you wouldn't want to have 2 separate models. So you'd have, you know, whatever, G, some L and G, R hand for right hand and left hand. You wouldn't want that. It's just cost prohibitive, so you don't do that. You have 1 model, and it's such a negligible thing to have the turbine turn in the other direction. It's just not, you don't care. It is inconsequential. It doesn't bother you to turn it the other way. You can't feel it, does nothing. You know, you lose a turbine, it is very docile. You know, you don't get a lot of you don't get any sort of some of the multi-engine problems you do if you have a propeller. You don't have a critical engine, you don't have to worry about any of that shit, so it's really much better. Hello, Breacha699, how are you? Lovely planey humps, yep. That'd be good, Alistair, if you do a challenge. I like more challenges. It's, you know, kind of gets me to, like, you know, get out of my comfort zone a little bit too, which I kind of lose when I'm the only one doing challenges, so I appreciate Big Man doing them. Alright, so we're going to see if we can run it with dual engines. If we need to, I'm going to put 4 bangers in here. I'm trying to avoid it at all costs. I think we'll do it right. Like, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to make it run fine. Like, Night Owl has 1 propeller. This has double. So this is going to have 4. So that should help. The engine power, this has the same number of engines as Night Owl. That helps us setting up the cockpit. It also helps without, because I need 4 fuel valves, 4 starters, you know, 4 throttles, 4, you know, so I end up, it really starts to make the cockpit, like, really, it adds a lot of systems to do that, so. And then this is the core, this is the end section here, so we're going to have to, see, I'm going to have to go wide. This is going to have to look like an old low bypass turbofan because the I need to put all these torque connections in. So I kind of have to do it this way. Are we still symmetried? We are. All right, good. So yeah, I'm going to just do it this way. And then these will go out. And then these have to go to both there, and then they're going to go up the connection here, and they're going to go into the props to run the props. And then they're going to be essentially cross-connected so that each engine could run each system. I wish we could do one-way linkages, but we can't. That way, for example, the engines aren't turning each other. They're just cross-linking. I could make a cross-linking system. What I could do is put those in the bottom, which is I think what I'll, or in the top even. I think I'll put them on the top. That's what I'll do. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the turbines. So I'm trying to run 2. I found diminishing returns after you do more than 2. You're not getting any extra benefit out of it. For my up, because I try not to do that goofy bullshit that people do where they like just stack them up. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I'm not interested. Wouldn't work IRL adding friggin' parallel turbine sections. I think it's silly. This will let me get a more low bypass or a high bypass turbofan look instead of a low bypass. So. Is that where we want it? Let me check. No. There we go. So the connection port up there, and then I can make them look a little bit more like a high bypass where I cut the core down. We'll try cutting here and trimming and pushing back. And the top will be a little bit different. I'm going to end up just replacing that on here. Let's just do this. I'll end up going back there and stripping it and then putting it back in. It's gonna look funky if I do it like this. Let's try something here. Go up, please. Go up, please. Thanks. The prop fans were pretty cool. They came out with that idea, but they were loud too. Big issues with noise abatement's a huge problem in aviation, so that was one of the things that killed the prop fan movement, was noise abatement. They have to worry about that shit. Yeah, you don't want screaming noise over your house all the time. It's quite maddening. That was like, for example, with our plane, Boston didn't want us going in on the short runway, but so the company went in and demonstrated that that our plane was actually quieter than the turboprops that they were allowing to go in there. So because of that, they then allowed us to fly our plane in to the short runway. It's actually quieter than the turboprops. So. Let's go. So that'll be the bypass section there. Gonna go up here. So all this air would go around the core and it'd come out here, past the hot section. And then they have new noise abatement, new things to try to cut the noise down. They're like these spikes, and so I'm curious if I can get the spikes in there to look reasonable, or if they're gonna look dog ass. Probably dog ass. That's why they have these spikes on, not just for the cool factors. They actually, yeah, they're gonna look funky if I do that. Let's cut them out. Put these little spikes in there. It's kind of cool. Let's create some vortices, cut down the noise. All right, so there's the high bypass section. You should be able to look in there and see. What we'll do is do this, and then that will be fine like that. And then I'll build up that'll be the core of the engine there. So this is the core, and then that is, or this is the bypass section. That's the core. And then I still need a exhaust. It's not going to do anything, but it's going to for visual reasons. This is the problem I have is the engines get very long to get them powerful, so I gotta push that out. So engines get very, very long. It's proportional. They look fine. They kind of look old school, like a 80s, MD-80s engines. Let's see. That looks better, I think. That. That's not going to actually do anything. It just sits there and acts the dumb shit. It doesn't do anything, but it's for looks. Problem is it looks off-centered because it needs that RPS connection. What I can do, extend the skag here, and that will kind of fix its look a little bit. That should have everything it needs to run right, run correctly. Problem is, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get this up and running. I need a lot of logic. This is gonna take a while to work on. So. I could just actually shag in a ton of Night Owl stuff and see what happens. That's probably what I'll end up doing. Shagging all this Night Owl stuff and see if I can get. I'd like to get it started, get it moving. I could probably take in most of Night Owl's cockpit as well. What are we off? 1 off, that, 2 off. Alright, 2 off. 1, 2. Right there in the middle of this, okay. Alright, so there are the turbines. Also, getting those down, look where the center of gravity is. That's where the center of gravity is. That's where the engine is. That's going to have pretty minimal to almost non-existent pitching moment. That's why that goes there. I'm not putting a thrust reverser in this one. Well, I could put Airbus style blocker doors, but they go in. They'd have to come in later. Let's go symmetry on. Put piping in there. I have to run gearing to this anyway, so they have to actually turn and then come back, so it's not a... That doesn't need to be done right now. Let's save this. Let's... I'm going to probably go to bed soon, but... see if I can grab Night Owl and bring Night Owl in. Because that was the whole point of starting a new build instead of working on the old build. So this is Night Owl. Night Owl has 2 engines and 2 props. You know, this plane, you know, in my imagination is a lot bigger than Night Owl. If you look, it really isn't. It's like not that much bigger than Night Owl. Yeah, maybe 50% larger. Could be double at most. Like the mass. Let's see what the mass is without Night Owl in there. Fuck, why did I click the button? Tired is why. That is 13,617. Let's see. Let's save it real quick. We'll check Night Owl. I'm not going to convert it over now. I'm going to probably go to bed, but I was working tomorrow. See what Night Owl's. Night Owl's 5, so pushing 3 times the mass. But, you know, Night Owl, we'll take Night Owl for a fast spin. So Night Owl has twin turbines on it, but it has these small fans in the front. This has the larger fans in there. So that will help a little bit with speed and thrust. Yeah, again, if I have to go to 4 engines, like we have the space in that cockpit, but it gets excessive. So ideally, so what will happen is these gauges will move up. All of this stuff will go down on the center console. So Night Owl flies really, really well for how I want Night Owl to fly. So it uses, like you can see, the fans on Night Owl are, it has 2. That's going to have 4. It has them up and down. The engines are pretty much, I can't remember what I have for thrust fans on that. You know, I'll have to end up running at a higher RPM, likely, to get more power out of it. But, again, it's a bigger plane. It's expected to burn more fuel than Night Owl, so that's not a big deal. All right, so let's start. We'll start bringing the thrust up. Fans start going. I'll bring the thrust fans down a little bit. So Night Owl takes off with its fans. So because Night Owl sits so close to the ground, you notice the gear is far back. Alright, so now we're going to go start. Thrust should be up. I don't have the gyro on. Let's go ahead and start putting the fan in. And there's the fan. And once we get up, once we get up over a certain speed, the fans are no longer, you see they went flat blades, the fans no longer do anything. They'll still turn. Those aren't the fans, those are the lift fans. So, like, a lot of Night Owl systems can go right into the new plane. Landing gear is going to be very similar. It's going to have main pods with visible exterior gear, just bigger wheels, maybe a larger wheel count. If they're bigger wheels, they don't necessarily need to be a larger wheel count. So I like them exposed like that. That's how they were on my plane. I like that. They might actually not be exposed because I need, I might put longer gear on them if it's gonna sit up higher. Like Night Owl's fast, so I have, did I turn on both engines? All right, so I only have 1 engine on. So see, I have engine 1 is on. So only engine 1 is on, so let's go. So we took off with 1 engine, all right. The port engine is on, the starboard engine is off. So like if we're gonna do a rescue, we can run on one engine, we burn a hell of a lot less fuel. But if we go 162 knots, if I kick on engine 2, here comes the speed. And so that's mainly for speed purposes, is running that. Let's turn up the thrust, and we'll turn up the fan. And now we're up to 260 something knots. So 267, I think, around there is its max. But that makes Night Owl very fuel efficient because, so on Night Owl, likely the engine thrust is above the center of gravity. I can feel it. So as I thrust up, see how the nose is going down? So that's because the center of thrust is above the center of gravity. So all you have to really do is you trim it, and it fixes it. This plane, it's more likely they're in line, and so this plane the new plane's going to be a little bit better on that regard. See, like that's caused because the center of thrust is out of order. Now, if I go ahead and turn the autopilot on, and why can't I get the autopilot on? All right, so I press the space bar, and it saves it because the autopilot system and the gyro automatically will fix it. And that was because the center of thrust is too high on this. So really, the engines really probably should be dropped down a notch, or I should really just spam a shitload of weight up top is what I should do, because that's what's causing that flipping is the center of thrust is too high. So like I go through that in my airplane tutorial. You know, that's why people like, it doesn't make any sense, my plane's doing front flips. It makes perfect sense. The difference is engineers have tilted the engines in the real airplane to account for this. You know, like, for example, if you guys have been listening to Boeing and all the bullshit they've been going through because they can't just do things right. So, like, I'll do a quick talk about Boeing here. So, here's the 737-900, okay. Here's the 737-300, okay. Notice, see how short the 737-300 is? Okay. Now, because so what they want to do is they want to do similar type. And what that means is if you're going to fly, let's say your airline has 737, 300s, 400s, 500s, 600s, 700, 800, 900s. Theoretically, you can go to the schoolhouse, you can learn how to fly on the 737, and you can fly from the 737-300 all the way up to the 737-900. That makes it so the airline has pilots who can fly, you know, a bunch of different airplanes. And so, for example, like if, say that somebody gets sick and they're on the 737-300, well, that means they don't have to have 5 spares for the 737-300. They could have a spare for the 737-9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They don't have 2s or 1s anymore. But, you know, so Boeing did this to save money for type commonality. And let's do 737-9. And the problem becomes, like, you can visually see some of these issues. So, like, what happened was the 737, if you look at the engines, like, let's find, I don't know why I separated those. Let's see, 17. Here's the 9. Okay, there's the 9 right there. Let's put that on the same thing. Let's go 737-200. All right, so this is the 737-200. This is old school 737s. Look at the engines. Let's see, open a new tab. The engines, great picture. See how long the engines are? Those are low bypass turbofans. See how long the engine is? And so when they went to high bypass turbofans, the diameter increased. But see how slammed to the ground the 737 is? So because the 737 is so close to the ground, when they did that, like on the 737-300, so one thing you notice is the engine gets, fuck me, where is it? Right here. No, right here. The engine gets this flat spot on the bottom, the diameter increased, and the engine slid forward. So if you look at the difference between a 300, look at the side profile of 300, see how far forward the engines are? And then if you look at the 200, see how the engines are right underneath the wing? So those engines needed to slide forward in order to make the 300 work. So they slid the engines forward because they had to go forward and up so they didn't hit the ground. Now you go to the 737-900, and the engines had to get bigger because it's a much bigger airplane. So the engines had to go forward and up again. And so now the engines are too far forward and they are too far up. And so what it did was it screwed up the center of gravity. Center of gravity went too far forward because they needed to get them forward and up to get them so they didn't hit the ground. And so what you end up with is you have a center of gravity problem. Well, what they did is they decided that they would have the plane fly itself and automatically make the jack screw change the horizontal stabilizer, and they didn't want to train the pilots. And so a lot of the pilots weren't trained, so when the plane would do something stupid, which was what it was programmed to do, the pilots would try to take over, and they were fighting the plane, and it was causing damage and crashes. And so what they should have done is they should have said the 7, 8, and 9 are on a different type rating, and they should have made the lower end of the 7.3s on a different type rating. And they frankly should have redone the plane more, but they didn't want to. Boeing was trying to save money, and so instead of redoing the wing, redoing the weight and balance, they said, fuck it, we'll just push the engines forward and move them up. And that caused a ton of problems that had to be addressed. There's some other issues that aren't that critical, but like, let's see if I can see, 737-900, ICE, wing. I see the pictures of them. They have these things in the wing which are kind of cool. Like the pilots will go and visually look at the wings. I can't see where they are on there. They have these black lines. They have to look for frost lines. Let me see if is it frost lines? No, I forget the name of them. They're on the wing, and so you can look at the frost lines. This is the other issue Boeing's having is they are not doing their safety checks because the guys who are supposed to be doing the safety checks, they don't get paid by the FAA like they should. They get paid by Boeing. So Boeing, of course, doesn't want them to do their job because it costs Boeing money. So instead, you either get fired for doing your job, or you cheat essentially, and you end up with a situation where people die. And this happened with the Eclipse 500, which I flew. When I flew this plane, they made it so that you couldn't use the boots because they were cheating essentially. And so they were cheating to pass the tests. And so they ended up having an issue where, all right, watch this. So again, see, that would have been a perfect use case. We almost went over forward. See that? That's the center thrust being too high. And so you can see somebody who might not know the aerodynamics and the aeronautics of airplanes blaming the game for that. That is exactly what would happen IRL. All that would happen is the engineers would tilt the engines let's say, I don't know, 5 degrees up. So the back of the engine would be tilted down 5 degrees, the front would be up 5 degrees, and that would solve this problem. We can't do that in game, and it's not a great idea to put them on pivots. So that would fix it. And people say, oh, boo, game. No, it's not the game. That's what would happen in real life. The difference is the engineers have these tools to do that. So if you get that center of gravity in line with your center of thrust, you're fine. But you see how well Night Owl performs. I just press the space bar to get us to stop doing forward flight, and we go right into hover. And I have this off. Let's click that off, back on. This thing flies like a dream. It's fast. I can shut down one of the engines to save fuel, so engine 2 is now shut down. So you notice engine 2 is losing thrust. So in hover mode, I don't need both engines running to hover. And the benefit of this is that I save a shitload of fuel. And so now we're saving fuel. I should turn the generators on and the hydraulics on. But, we save a shitload of fuel, so when I'm doing a rescue in Night Owl, I don't need to worry about burning, an insane amount of fuel. I can just shut one engine down, do my rescue. We're burning a lot less fuel. Then if I want to go fast, I can instantly turn on the other engine because they're interlinked. And so that either engine will run both fans. So I can shut down engine number 1, and you see engine 1's coming down, and now both fans are still running. So it allows me to shut down an engine and still be able to operate. Now, if I were to shut both engines down, it actually takes us a little while to lose it because the momentum in the engines are still spooled up. As soon as I feed them fuel, the engine should pop right back on. So as you can see, you don't get a lot of time. Here, let's do it. That's if I shut it off. You don't have a lot of time, but if you accidentally shut it off, you can go ahead and turn it back on. But you gotta do it quick, is you'll lose too much thrust too fast if you're running one engine. So you can save it. But yeah, so I love Night Owl. Night Owl's a really cool plane. So the new plane's gonna get all of Night Owl's systems. Let's look at the cockpit real quick. Some of the stuff with the cockpit's gonna change, like where it is mostly. I like the cockpits to look different. So like in here, so on the new plane, it's gonna get a 3 across console, which usually if I do that, what I'm gonna do is put 2 actual thrust levers in there, so 2 throttles for thrust levers. Put those in the middle instead of these. It will still get these types here. A lot more stuff's going in the center console because it will be a 3 across center console. Yeah. So for the most part, a lot of the stuff's going to be the same. I'm going to try to keep it 2 engines. I'd love to just throw these panels in because I don't want to rewrite the panels. So like this has battery 1, 2, power connect, GPU, battery. What I'll probably do is with the new airplane, I'm going to put on, I'm going to do simulated pneumatic systems. So what will happen is the APU, so it's just a diesel engine. So what I'll do is put a diesel APU in there, and the diesel APU will have a belt-driven pump on it, or it will have an impeller, probably a belt-driven pump, and that will pump. When I turn on the bleed, that will pump air into a tank. Actually, I might not even do a tank. I won't do a tank. I'll do it freeballed. And so what will essentially happen is I might do it in a tank to read the pressure. So it'll go from there to a tank, and it will read the pressure. And once it gets up above a certain amount of pressure, that will allow us to start one of the engines. And then that engine will also, I will use likely an impeller on that one. An impeller on that, and that will then pump air into a tank and store it. And then if I want to start the other engine, I cross bleed. And so probably what I'll do is when I do the engine bleed, it will turn on the pump, and that will start the other engine if you wanted to do that. And then things like air conditioning packs will be run off bleed air. So a bunch of those systems, like there are a lot of pneumatic systems in an airplane. I'll put those in. What I'll probably do is add a hydraulic system. So this is something, again, people like poo-poo the pressurization update. I love the pressurization update, and this is one of the reasons why, is there's a ton of cool shit we can do. It did. Windows closed down a window on me. Yeah, Windows closed down a whole set of windows for me. What the Christ are you doing there, guy? Yeah, I don't know why Windows did that, or Google did that. It was Chrome. Chrome shut down a ton of my windows. And so, let me quickly fix this real quick. So, for example, we can do simulated hydraulics, and what we'll do is I will also pump likely diesel through with the engines, with the turbines, and with the APU. Now, I have to check the hydraulic system on the APU. Now, we didn't get any hydraulics off the APU. They were off the main engines. It depends on the airplane, but I think most are just running pneumatics off the APU. Yeah, there's no real hydraulic system on that. There might be on some obscure planes, but generally just running pneumatics off the APU. And then you'll have hydraulic pumps on the mains. And so what we'll do is we'll run an impeller off of the main turbines that will move diesel, and it will just circulate it. And when we need diesel, it will open a valve and it will put it in a store tank to build the pressure up. And so that will, for example, if the pressure is too low, we'll lose, it will hamper how much we can use our control surfaces. So if you forget to turn on the hydraulic system, your control surfaces will give you like 25% of what you get. Other systems like brakes, if your hydraulic system fails, your brakes aren't going to work. You'll usually get a couple tugs of the parking brake, so maybe you have to click it 3 times and it will give you some brakes. Your spoilers will not work if the hydraulic system has failed. Your flaps will not work If the hydraulic, oh, it depends. We had electrically actuated flaps on the Embraer 145, so they were electric jack screw. Some flaps are hydraulic, and so either hydraulic jack screw or actuator. They're generally jack screws, and so if your hydraulic system failed, you might not be able to get your flaps out. Slats, you might not be able to get your slats out. And so that means that you have less lift to land and you'll have to come in at a faster speed. So that'll be kind of cool to simulate that too. This plane's too small to be doing all that shit. So I'll try to work up some systems there and that will go in. But what is all this? Did I not fill some of that? No, that's pounds per hour. What are you? This is all empty on Night Owl. This could be filled at some point. So maybe I'll do it on this new plane and fix it up. But this needs an anti-ice. Yeah, I don't have anti-ice. Anti-ice was supposed to go in here. You don't have de-ice on jets. You usually have anti-ice because you have a lot of hot air that you can just use to melt it. Let me catch up on. Do you mean like de-icing boots? No, not on the Boeing, not on the 737s. De-icing boots on the Eclipse 500. I don't know if I don't know which one you're referencing, Alistair. The Eclipse 500. I flew this little crap jet. So on this jet, you can see it has de-icing boots on the leading edge, and then it has a hot anti-ice on the inlet. That was the cockpit. I like the side stick. The side stick was fun though. That was fun. So like on the on this, you get a big. I flew this exact plane, I think. On the leading edge of the wing, they put hot bleed air from the engines through the leading edge of the wing to melt the ice. You also, on the inlet of the engine, this is also heated. So that's heated. This is heated. Some other things are heated with hot bleed air, but that's mainly what the anti-ice. It keeps the ice from forming because it's so hot that it prevents it from freezing essentially when it hits the the leading edge of the wings and the inlets of the engines. And it was actually kind of cool. You had a probe right here, I believe. I think it's this probe right here. So it was a little probe, and when ice would hit it, it would change the rate of vibration because now it's off balanced. And so it'd start to vibrate. Then the system would turn the heat on the probe and it would melt the ice. So if it was not vibrating, then it started vibrating, and you then it melted it and the vibration stopped. It now knew, yep, ice, and it would turn on the anti-ice system. Yep. We can't see. Oh, sorry. I got you. Yeah, so like that's the hot section of the inlet of the engine. So hot bleed air goes through the silver part. Usually any of these silver parts are where the hot air goes in because they can't put paint on. The paint would melt. And then the probe is right here. So, and then I'll show you the Eclipse 500. So I flew the Eclipse 500. It has boots. So it has boots there and then a hot inlet there. See if they had any planes that actually flew out of these. They sold off all the ones. I think this is probably I bet you I flew this one. No, I didn't fly that one. I flew that one. Probably flew half of those. Flew a bunch of these. Flew this. No, I didn't fly that one. We were the when I flew for this company, we were the biggest customer of the Eclipse 500. So this was a fun little plane to fly. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like screaming fast. It could actually go up pretty high. It went up to 41,000 feet. It goes up higher than the 145 does, but not by a ton. By 4,000 feet. Wasn't a bad cockpit. Side stick was nice. I really liked the side stick. I like the yoke in the 145 as well. these little Barbie throttles felt like Barbie throttles. I wasn't a big. They just felt cheap and like you're gonna break them all the time. The flap handle felt cheap, like you're gonna break it all the time. Some of the stuff, like the human factors in this, I'm trying to see. It's not trying to find a picture of the overhead panel. I didn't like my. It's funny. My brother actually worked on the avionics in this, and I wasn't a big fan of the avionics. I preferred more professional stuff. The engine starts were up top, and it was dangerously easy to be able to shut off your engines in flight. So they're up here. They needed those covered. Like in the 145, you have, this is your engine start stops right there. Come on, dude. Get out of here with your bullshit website. Thanks, guy. There we go. Right here, these are your engine start stops. They have these plastic covers on them. So the problem was the ignitions are right here. So if you went into a thunderstorm, you would turn on your ignitions. And these are too close to your... no, that's hydraulics. I think ignitions are right here. I can't remember. Anyway, people would accidentally grab these and shut the engine off in flight, which is a big no-no. This is ram's horn yokes. I like the ram's horns. Much more substantial, like flap handles and thrust levers, and you had a thrust lever friction lock there, and that's our spoiler right there. These are disconnects to disconnect the system from the yokes. That's a emergency gear release handle. That's the parking brake is right here. It's actually a hydraulic parking brake. You pull it up and turn it to lock it. If you lost hydraulic pressure, you could pull that 3 times and you'd use the residual pressure to try to stop. What else? Yeah. So like there's right here, there are these 3 little balls, and you have to move your seat up and down and forward back to line the balls up. And that's how you know you have the right picture. But that's why I like it when I complain about like people wanting these huge bubble canopies. This is what your view looks like. That's it. Like you don't get a lot of view. You don't need it. And it's like when Star Citizen and everyone wants bubble canopies, is like this is what a real cockpit looks like, and that's all you need. You don't need eyebrow windows. You don't need all that shit. You know, people do this all day long and land safely without any issue. All right, guys. I think we'll finish up there. I think I'm gonna go to bed. I'll probably work on this tomorrow. But this has been a fun build. You know, it should come along nicely. I'm pretty sure I saved it. So, you know, the nice thing here is, let me please let there be a physics sensor in here. Oh, if it doesn't have a physics sensor, I'm gonna cry because I have to convert it. Oh, it's in. Okay, good. The physics sensor's in. That was a huge update, the physics sensor. That was a really, really good update. That's one of the most consequential updates we had. It takes so many nodes away, and it's a bitch to convert it over. And so this one, this will get pretty much a lot of these systems. I'll do some, like I have plenty of panel space left here. We'll be able to add some systems to make it look more filled out. But the guts of this are really good. And like here, what I was talking about, center of gravity. Look at the center of gravity. See where it is? See how the center of gravity is low? It's right here. The thrust is here. So what's happening is the CG is here. Think of that as your pivot point. You're putting a pivot on that. So when you thrust up, it's rotating here. That's your center of rotation. It's going to push here and push your nose down. So as you thrust up, it pushes your nose down. As you thrust down, it picks your nose up. Now look at the new plane. The new plane has a better, so I could drag that CG up. So like if you look at this one, this is where my center of thrust is right here, and this is where my center of gravity is. So they're much more in line. And I'll be able to drag that up. And so this one will have none of those problems, which is good because if it has more powerful engines, it will react to it more. Here are your spoilers. You have spoilers here and here. You have flaps here and here. I think these are all flaps. Flap, flap, flap. A spoiler, spoiler, ailerons, and ailerons there. And then I'll hook up. I like having the conventional tail on this one. Again, you got to be careful where your engines are. So if you, like for example, in the 145, the engines are on the tail. You want a T-tail. You don't want thrust. You don't want hot exhaust hitting your surfaces. Not good. You're going to put a bunch of soot on there. It's not great. You don't want that shit. So, you know, these are underslung engines. So they're going to go right under the horizontal stabilizer. That will keep it from hitting. A couple like visual things I'm not thrilled with, but again, I'm up to 2x4s. I can't do anything else. It's, you know, it's as thin as I can get it, frankly. And I'm happy with it. I'm not going to screw with it too much, but that's pretty good. And then this is a pretty wide cockpit, so we should be able to, you know, I'm probably just going to yank the cockpit out of Night Owl and stick it in here, frankly. That's probably what's going to happen. And then we'll put a 3x center console in there. This is all space for the nose wheel under here, especially the nose wheel is going to have to be pretty tall. The main deck is pretty low here, but that's pretty normal. You got to go up in the cockpit. That's a little bit high, but I can't drop this down fast enough. I'd have to put in, I'd have to do that quicker. But some cockpits you actually have to do step up into quite a bit because you have to get up to the glass. And so that's important. And then, so we'll have that. And then should be able to fit 2 containers in here. Should be pretty fast, I would say. Lifting fans look good. This is double the number. This is double the fan count of Night Owl. So probably gonna have to run the engines at a higher RPM, but not a big deal. And then you notice center of gravity is right in the middle of center of lift, and then likely the gear is gonna go right south, just behind that. So we'll maybe do a set of triple gear on this, and so the middle tire will probably be in the center of gravity. We'll have a tire behind and one in front. And then, you know, if we look at the angle here, let's say the wheels hang all the way down to here. The wheels will go down to there, probably back here. So when we rotate, it's going to pivot off of this pivot point here off the rear tire. And so this is our angle from here to here, this triangle. That's the max angle we can rotate. And that's for a regular takeoff. Again, it's going to be vertical takeoff, but it's going to be set up to be proper. So what I'll probably do too is, I don't know, I may or may not try to drag the CG, I don't know, back a little bit. We might drag the CG back a little bit so I can get the gear further aft, but we'll see. I'd have to go up, and I really am trying not to move the center of gravity up, but yeah, this should work out pretty well. Most of the fuel is going to be up here. Again, that will put it in the wings, and it will drag that CG up a little bit, just a hair. And so that will keep it in line with the engines pretty well, so we don't have any tilting moments, but should be a pretty cool plane. All right, let's see. Catch up with chat, and then I think we'll go to bed. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Adios.